Majid, Beaufort County's Passive Parks Manager, and today we're going to take a look at some of Beaufort County's passive parks. Here we are at Crystal Lake Park. It is 25 acres of forested habitat with a mixed fresh and saltwater pond. The pond at Crystal Lake Park offers visitors the opportunity for catch and release fishing, and soon there will be a trail that spans the perimeter of the lake for hiking and birdwatching. Wildlife that visitors can see at Crystal Lake Park include wading birds such as great egrets and great blue herons, as well as very large alligators. This pollinator garden was planted and maintained by the Lowcountry Master Gardener Association and citizen volunteers. Pollinator gardens are important because 80% of our food relies on pollinators such as bees, butterflies, hummingbirds, and ants. The office space in this building is leased by the Beaufort County Open Land Trust and the Beaufort Soil and Water Conservation District. A conference room is also available to the public for rental. This is Fort Fremont Preserve. The fort was built in 1898 and is listed on the National Register of Historic Places. Fort Fremont is part of the Endicott period fort systems for defense during the Spanish-American War. The neighborhood area surrounding the fort was all part of a 170-acre village where 112 enlisted soldiers and officers and their support staff and families lived until 1911. During its time, the fort contained two 4.72-inch quick-fire guns on Battery Fornance and three 10-inch disappearing guns on Battery Jessup to defend the Port Royal Sound and the naval station on Parris Island. The fort was deactivated in 1921 and all usable parts were removed from the site by the federal government. The fort was then sold by the government in 1930 and remained in private hands until 2004 when it was acquired by Beaufort County. There are 18 acres of mixed hardwood forest surrounding the fort. The Friends of Fort Fremont work closely with county staff to provide interpretive tours and maintenance of the fort structure and the grounds. Visitors can enjoy scenic views from the top of the fort, exploring the fort structure, bird watching, and beach strolls along the waters of Port Royal Sound. Future improvements will include a picnic pavilion and an interpretive center that will have public restrooms and a small conference room. This is Widgeon Point Preserve. It is 160 acres of pine hardwood forest and salt marsh along the banks of the Broad River. This beautiful property is co-owned by Beaufort County and the Beaufort County Open Land Trust. Future park improvements for Widgeon Point will include public access from dawn to dusk, a parking area, a picnic pavilion, bird blind, restrooms with a water fountain, and renovations to the bridge and barn. A nature trail will also be completed through the Maritime Forest. In early 2020, visitors will have the opportunity for picnicking, wildlife viewing, and hiking. Park facilities and the property will also be available to the public to rent for events, family gatherings, and weddings. This 100 acres is the Optoma Hogtown Heritage Preserve. It is co-owned by Beaufort County and the state of South Carolina and is listed on the National Register of Historic Places. In the 16th century, this property was the home site of a Yamasee tribe chieftain. The Yamasee were once a fierce and independent nation with a large confederation of over 60 towns and villages from the Carolinas to Florida. In 1715, over 19,000 warriors from the Yamasee and other native tribes declared war on the British due to land encroachment, treaty violations, and slave trading. For over a year, the colony of South Carolina was facing possible extinction until the Cherokee aligned with the colonists and peace treaties were signed in late 1717. After the Yamasee War of 1715, a large population of Yamasee continued to reside in what is now South Carolina and would travel back and forth to Florida, rescuing other Yamasee from slave plantations. This property is also the site of a Civil War era graveyard. And today, visitors can enjoy birding and the peace of nature along the walking trail, as well as a scenic view of the Okeechee and Colleton rivers from the grassy point.